Yo, what's good? We have another video for today. This one is called Three Important Questions That No One Knows the Answers to, Universe Edition by Pursuit of Wonder. Now, I'm not going to lie. I want to watch this because I'm going to try to answer these questions. Um, I call myself Genie because I'm like a genie for wisdom. Like with a regular genie, you rub the bottle, genie pops out, it gives you some wishes. With me, you call upon me, I pop out, and I answer your questions. I always make this joke that like I know everything. I don't know everything, obviously. That'd be fucking dumbass. That'd be dumb as fuck to think. But people ask me questions and I could usually always answer them. They're like, yo, how do you know that? I'm like, nigga, I know everything. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if I can answer these questions. Let's get into the video.
This video is sponsored by The Great Courses Plus. It can
Get your
perhaps
money.
be a little stark, but equally profound and humbling to at least once in a while consider that the distance between us and the mites on a leaf is likely far closer than the distance between us and understanding the universe as it actually is. Of course, we aren't clueless. We have come exceptionally far, relatively speaking. Unlike any other living thing, we are not only aware that there is a universe that surrounds and inhabits us, but we are also able to create models and equations out of it that have allowed us to extract understanding and fundamental laws of nature from the very surface of nature itself. However, despite our profound abilities and achievements, we still have some of the most basic, essential questions left unresolved on the table of everything. Unknowns that permeate into the quintessence of our existence and our experience of our existence that no one has been able to figure out since the start of it all. At a young age,
Okay, maybe he means this question in a different kind of way, but this is a very simple answer. Time is simply the perception of events moving in space. If you want to change it, it'd still be like time is just the events that pass with inside of space. But it's based upon your perception of the events also because we perceive time differently. We perceive events passing differently. I know a lot about time actually. Like that's one of my main things is time. You know what I'm saying? So this question was not hard to answer. But maybe he means this question a different kind of way. But like I said one more time is simply just your perception of the events passing inside of space. Or you could simply just say time is the passing of events within inside space.
we are taught how to tell time, and off we go, flying through it, trying to keep up with it and use it as best we can. For the most part, time exists fairly casually in the background of our lives. However, to paraphrase the early theologian philosopher, St. Augustine, when someone asks what time it is, we know, but when someone asks what time is, no one has any idea.
Are you kidding me? Time is nigga what? Like the reason we could tell time is because we're able to measure how fast events pass. You know what I'm saying? So like with 3 o'clock, right? It's 3 o'clock, then 3:01 and 3:02 because we can actually measure seconds, and we measure seconds by pretty much because I'm pretty sure that now this I may be a bit wrong on, but the way that we use time on Earth is based upon the sun, right? Like like how long the sun is out and then when is it set. You know what I'm saying? People are able to calculate how fast the sun is rising and setting, and they're able to make seconds and minutes and hours based upon these measurements. But that's still, they're just measuring the passage of events in front of you. Now, the thing is, us personally, right? We might perceive the sun rising and setting at different speeds. Like you may think it rose and set with inside of fucking 12 hours. It could have felt like 12 hours to you, but it was actually 24 hours when you actually measure it according to how we measure time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like nigga, we know what time is. Time is the passing of events in space. The sun rising and setting. I mean, obviously, in real life, it's not literally rising and setting, but we're just moving around the sun. In different parts of the earth get sunlight, as other parts, are dim. You know what I'm saying? But my whole entire point is the sun rising and setting. That is an event that's happening with inside the space. You know what I'm saying? And then we just calculate how fast these events are happening, and we make a system of time for it, What are we talking about with this question?
Starting from the Big Bang, everything moved outwardly through time and space in an increasingly complex and disorderly manner.
That's where niggas fucking it up. The Big Bang, right? Hold up. What did he say again?
Big Bang, everything moved outwardly through time and
He said everything moved outwardly through time and space. That's not true. That's not true. You can say that everything moved outwardly through space, but the actual movement is what generated the time, right? Like, since you have things moving in space, that generates a sense of time, which you can measure, right? Granted, with our own perception of it, we might say that took 2 seconds, that took 5 seconds. But when you actually measure the shit, there's going to be a set measurement. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, a car could be driving 30 miles per hour, right? If you are measuring the miles per hour, you know how fast the car is going. Now, to my perception, I may think it's like 25. You might think it's like fucking 32. But when you measure it, it's 30. You can literally measure this shit. So with everything moving through space, right? That is what's making the time, which you can actually measure that if you know how fast things are moving through space. You know what I'm saying?
space in an increasingly complex and disorderly manner. By way of the second law of thermodynamics, we know that everything moves towards entropy, from order to disorder. This creates what is known as the arrow of time, which as far as we know, only...
Right. Wait, so I don't think he beat what he just said. He said that everything moves through time and space, which is what makes the arrow of time. How does things moving through time and space make time? Nigga, I thought time was already there. It wasn't already there. And by this statement, he kind of knows that. What he kind of means is that, and I'm not getting on him personally, you know what I'm saying? If he sees this video, listen, I'm sorry if I sound mean. I'm a bitch ass nigga. You could beat my ass. I ain't shit. I'm a dumbass. I don't know anything. But long story short, right? The better way to say this is the fact that everything moves through space, which makes the arrow of time, because the fucking movement through space is what makes time. I don't like this one.
moves forward.
This one was too easy.
Unlike in the dimension of space, in which you can drive somewhere, realize...
One thing I do like, he called space a dimension, which is true. Space is a dimension. A dimension is a measurable extent of some kind. You can measure space. How do you measure space? Through the area within inside that space. You know what I'm saying? Dimensions are not places. You know what I'm saying? People think, I was inside the third dimension. I was inside the fifth dimension. Nigga, what are we talking? That's a whole different topic for a whole different video. Let me stop.
As you forgot something at home, and then turn around to go back and get it, you obviously can't turn around and go backwards in time.
Right, so what he's saying is there's the fact, like, in space, you could go forward and backwards through space, but you can't go backwards in time.
Forget in the past stays there. In the 17th century, Isaac...
And, I mean, you kind of can, but here's what he means, right? Here's why you can't go back in time. You see, time is the movement of events, right, that happens within time and space, right? You can't reverse the movements. If let's say something goes forwards and it goes backwards, right? That is not what I mean by reversing the movement. If something goes forwards and backwards in space, my fault. The fucking food and shit. I'm talking my fucking mouth full and shit. Hold up. My bad. If something moves forwards in space and then backwards in space, those are just two events of movement inside of space, right? Now, what's time again? Time is events moving inside space. So when something moves forward in space, that's an event. That's an event that generates a sense of time, right? You can't just say, oh, that event never happened. Now, something can move backwards inside the space, but that's a whole different event that makes a whole different sense of time. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you can't move backwards in time, because once an event happens, it already happened. In space, though, you're just moving inside of an area. So you can move forwards, backwards, up, down. It don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah.
Newton proposed that time not only moves forward, but also moves at an absolute fixed rate throughout all of the universe.
Now that's obviously my fault. I ain't gonna say that's obviously stupid, but that's obviously not true. You know what I'm saying, nigga? If I run at 5 miles per hour and you run at 10 miles per hour, you're moving faster. You know what I'm saying? Like. Therefore, like, let's say we're gonna run for fucking 60 minutes, right? If you're running faster than me and we have the same amount of stamina, you'll get further in those 60 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I should probably say that a bit differently, though, right? So time does not move at a fixed rate because events in space don't move at a fixed rate. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, let's do it like this. Let's say that I have to get to the end of the field, right? Let's say there's a long ass field and I got to get to the end of the field. If you're faster than me, you'll get to the end of the field before I do because you're faster. Therefore, you move through space faster than I do. Therefore, it takes you less time to get to the very end. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, time does not move the same throughout space. That's like obvious because events in space don't move at the same rate. Some things are fast, some things are slow.
This makes perfect sense as it is how we intuitively experience and understand time. Your minute is just as long and just as short as everyone else's.
Yeah, but that's because that's based upon the sun and the sun rising and setting. The earth spins. Well, the earth takes 1 day to fully. The earth takes 24 hours to spin once. That is what gives us the 24-hour clock. You know what I'm saying? We measure the hours in the day based upon how the earth is turning, which is pretty much based upon the sun rising and setting, right? But to be more accurate, it's the sun turning. I mean, it's the earth turning. You know what I'm saying? The earth is always going to take 24 hours to turn once. You know what I'm saying? That's what a day is. The earth spinning one time. You know what I'm saying? The earth doesn't spin 1,000,000 miles per hour. No. The earth spins, it takes 24 hours for the earth to spin simply one time. That's going to always be a thing. That's why the time is always the same. That's why a minute is always a minute, because it's only based upon the earth turning. You know what I'm saying? Now, with our perception, my minute is not always going to be your minute. What you think is 1 minute could be my 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But what he means is the fact that, nigga, a minute is always 60 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Which is true. Because the way that we set up the system of time, we set it up based upon the fact that the earth takes 24 hours to spin once. You know what I'm saying? It's going to always be that. That's why it's always the same. But for a different planet, nigga, a different planet might take like fucking 5 hours to fucking spin once. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
However, a couple hundred years later, in the early 20th century, Albert Einstein provided his theory of special relativity, which disproved Newton by revealing that time is far more malleable. According to Einstein's theory, time is in fact not constant or real in the way that we are intuitively accustomed to.
That is true. Time, that should be obvious. You see, niggas think that time is literally what's on the clock. Like 5 o'clock, that is what time is, 5 o'clock. No. 5 o'clock is simply how you measure a specific event in space. What's the event? The fucking earth spinning. Or the sun rising and setting, which comes from the earth spinning. You know what I'm saying? So, niggas just don't know what time is. And that's why they think that dumb shit. Obviously, time isn't constant because time is the movement of events inside space. Things move inside space at different rates. But when it comes to like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, that is just you talking about one singular event. The earth spinning. So, of course, that's going to be constant because the earth always spins at the same exact rate. But other things will not be constant if they spin at different rates or the events inside the space move at different rates. Come on now. I'm not even a fucking scientist and I know this shit.
Rather, it is personal, relative, and partly perceptual.
Yeah, it is personal. It is relative, right? It's personal to you and how you perceive it, right? Right? It is relative because, nigga, the reason why 1 hour down here might not be 1 hour somewhere else is because when we say 1 hour has passed, that means that the earth has spun a certain amount. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's how we define an hour. You know what I'm saying? Depending, it's how much the earth spin at. It's how much the earth. 1 hour is 1/4. I mean, is 1/24th, right? Of the earth total of the earth's total spin. So, like I said, the earth spins once every 24 hours. It does a complete spin every 24 hours. 1 hour is just 1/4 of that earth spinning. You know what I'm saying? But an hour is going to be different on a different planet if the planet spins faster or slower. You see what I'm saying?
As in, every
And of course, it's perceptual because the way you perceive the event generates your personal sense of time.
Everybody has their own experience of time, and the rate at which time passes can change depending on what someone is doing and where someone is.
Yeah.
This, however, would only become noticeable in extreme instances, like if someone were near a black hole or were approaching the speed of light, where in both cases, time would significantly slow down. Although profound and revolutionary to our understanding of time, this still doesn't answer what time really is, or why we appear to only move forward in it, or why time is a dimension at all, leaving room for plenty.
What? What the fuck are we talking about? Okay, let's answer all those questions right now. What is time? I already answered that.
Why we appear to only move forward.
Why we only move forward? Because once an event happens, you can't stop it from happening. It already fucking happened. When niggas say forward through time, that's not even really a direction. It just means that you can't, if an event happened, you can't say that event didn't happen. That would be moving backwards. You know what I'm saying? Quote unquote back. It's not actually a direct. It's not actually moving forwards and backwards. No. What that really means is just the fact that once an event happens, it already happened. I mean, that's kind of simple, nigga. See how I just did this? I can't stop, nigga. I can't stop that from happening anymore. It already happened. So that's why you can't move backwards through time. Also, why is time a dimension? Because you can fucking measure time. You can measure time. How do you measure time? The speed of something, how fast the events are moving. The duration, how long these events moved inside the space. What are we talking about right now? This shit easy.
Forward in it, or why time is a dimension at all, leaving room for plenty of additional theoretical models and arguments to be made. There are valid theories of the universe that don't include time as a dimension, like the
Which is stupid. Which is stupid. If you look up a dimension means a measurable extent of some kind. Anything you can measure is a fucking dimension.
theory proposed by an equation known as the Wheeler-DeWitt equation. Other theories suggest that time can be nonlinear and go back on itself at
Time technically isn't linear because time doesn't move in an actual line. It's just events passing inside of space. Now, the reason why we can't move backwards in time is because we can't just hop from event to event. Like for example, World War II, that was a certain event, right? I could revisit that inside of my mind. I could think about it and look at it like that, but I can't get out of this event and go to that event. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like technically time isn't linear, right? Because time doesn't move in a fucking line. Time is just events passing. You know what I'm saying? Now you could perceive all these different events, right? Like I could think back to what I did when I was in fucking third grade. You know what I'm saying? That's how you quote unquote move back in time. You're just observing the event that happened inside that current space. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I don't like this.
the end of itself in a sort of loop of displaced cause and effect. Or, congruent with Einstein's theories, all moments in time are occurring at the same time, just like all locations in space are occurring at the same time.
Is that true? Kind of ish. So he said all events are happening at once, right? All moments are occurring at the same time. Well, a moment occurring is what literally makes time. So that statement actually makes no sense. What this technically says is that all time is at the same time. Because time is moments occurring, it's events moving throughout space, right? So do all movements. So is this true right here? I mean, I don't like the statement doesn't really make any sense if you know what time actually is, right? Like the like it's like saying the past. So what's the past? The past is in a the past just relates to events that have already happened. The future is events that have not happened yet. So it's like, are they happening at the same time? That's kind of hard to say because the events themselves are what make time. That's like saying all time happens at the same time. It doesn't really make sense. All events are happening. All events moving through space are happening at the same events moving throughout space. That doesn't make any sense. So it's like you can't even really say that statement without kind of sounding foolish if you know what time actually is.
are occurring at the same time, just like all locations in space are occurring at the same time.
Now, what does that even mean? All locations in space are occurring at the same time? What does that fully mean? All locations in space are occurring at the same events moving throughout space. Like, that sentence doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying?
And the perception or sense that there is a past, present, or future is merely an illusion as a result of our
It is an illusion when you think about it as a fucking timeline. You know what I'm saying? Once again, the past is just events that have already happened. The future is events that have yet to happen. The present is events that are happening right now. Now, time isn't linear as if like the past is back here and the future is right here. You know what I'm saying? It's just happening in space. And you can perceive the different events with inside of your mind. You just can't literally hop inside those events because you're also moving throughout space. So because you're moving in space over here, you can't hop to where that event happened over here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
continuous forward direction through it. Of course, the point here is we don't know. We simply live with time, experiencing every moment
well, we kind of do know, if you know, but I guess not.
through it, coordinating every activity on it, and allowing it to pressurize our every decision and sensibility. And yet,
You see, people say that time isn't real. No, time is real. Events are moving throughout space. Your perception of it is not real. It's not a fucking actual line. The past is not back here and the future's fucking right. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's like you're wrong about that. You know what I'm saying?
it could merely be an illusion created by the brain's feeble attempt
It is an illusion.
to understand something that extends beyond its limits.
It doesn't extend beyond the brain's limits though. Like, you could easily comprehend an event happening in front of you. The part that our brain kind of makes up is us deciding how long that thing took. You might have thought it was 5 minutes. I might think it was 6 minutes. He might think it was 10 minutes. That's the part that our brain kind of makes up. But the actual event moving, no one's making that up. The event really is happening.
To quote Einstein, we do not observe nature as it actually exists, but nature exposed to our methods of perception.
That is true. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much, you're not seeing this shit how it actually is. You're perceiving it through your body's senses. This is just fucking light particles, but you're seeing a fucking water bottle, even though it's just light particles. What is gravity? Gravity is the warping of space time, right? You could Google that shit. My fault. It's a force that warps space time, right? A force. Okay, I was kind of wrong, but gravity does warp space time though. I do what like let me prove that. Does gravity warp space? The curvature, but you see, I know I wasn't tripping. You see, according to Einstein, right? Gravity is the curvature of space and time caused by mass and energy. You know what I'm saying? But let's do this right here. The force that attracts a body to the center of the Earth or towards any other physical body having mass. So pretty much what it's trying to say is, right, with this, right? If something has mass, it warps space and time. Like right here, you see that? This having mass warps space and time. Just think about it, right? If you here's how mass warps time, right? So you could say that everything moves at 2 miles per hour, right? But no. I want to say something different. You could say that everything moves at the same speed, right? But that's not true. If something is heavier, it's probably going to move slower. It's going to warp time, right? It's going to warp how events are passing, right? It's going to either make them slower or faster, depending on how heavy something is, right? And it's warping space because if you have a box, right? If you have a box and then put mass shit inside the box, now there's less space inside the box. The space has been warped. Now there's definitely more to it, and there's definitely shit about gravity which I don't understand, but we know what gravity is. It's the warping of space-time caused by mass. Or you could say, that's how Einstein would say it, right? The curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy, you know what I'm saying? This curvature influences how objects move through space, whatever the fuck, right? This right here says the force that attracts a body toward the center of the earth. So gravity is also the force that attracts a body towards the center of the earth. So we know what gravity is.
In an ironically similar string of events, Isaac Newton proposed what is known as the law of universal gravitation in his same work that argued for absolute time. In his theory, Newton explained that every particle attracts every other particle with a force proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of their...
Not gonna lie, that shit, when you start saying this shit, I'm like, okay, I don't fully get that, you know what I'm saying? But let me...
The force proportional... In his theory, Newton explained that every particle attracts every other particle with a force proportional to the product...
Okay, let's leave with the proportional shit. So, Newton proposed that a particle is attracted to another particle by a certain force, which he calls gravity, and that force has to be proportional to the product of their
of their masses and
let me not do that part. The part act like it's stupid. What he's saying is not stupid. I mean, granted, he's probably wrong about it. You know what I'm saying? Since Einstein came along, but it's not stupid what he said, though. I just don't fully understand what he's saying.
Inversely proportional to the square of their...
Well, I kind of get it, but I can't... Stop. Let me stop.
Distance between the center of each particle. In simpler terms, objects move towards each other in space because of their force of gravity, which is dependent on the relationship of their masses and distances between each other.
Okay.
Some years later...
He did simplify that shit, I ain't gonna lie.
Again, Einstein proved that Newton was wrong. With this now updated version of relativity known as the theory of general relativity...
This nigga Einstein said, fuck Newton, bro. This nigga said, Newton, you got time fucked up, you got gravity fucked up. Nigga said, fuck Newton.
Einstein discovered that gravity is not the force between two objects, but it is actually the result of the mass of an object distorting what is known as space-time, which is the combination of the three dimensions of space and the one dimension of time, creating one singular fabric of the universe.
So, did they just say that space-time is really just time?
As a result, gravity works somewhat in very...
Let's look up what space-time is, because I know what he just says that space-time is literally chess time. You know what I'm saying? What is space-time? Oh, I get it, because the length, width, and height are supposed to be the space part, and then you just have time. So when something warps space-time, it just warps time essentially, which that makes sense. But like I said, if something is heavy, it's gonna move slower. But there's more to that. Don't just take that part. But oh my god, he's a genius. No, just no.
Loosely, like putting a bowling ball in the middle of a sheet pulled tight on all ends. The bowling ball would cause the sheet to dip down towards the center and bend around it. If then a tennis ball was added onto the sheet, since the tennis ball has less mass, it would gravitate towards the bowling ball.
Yeah.
But only because...
Okay, so what's he like? So what's he getting at?
Because of the distortion or bend...
Because he's talking about it as if we know what it is.
Of the sheet. This completely revolutionized our understanding of gravitation and the universe as a whole.
But yeah, that's where the spaceport come into play. It's also warping the space. It's warping the length, width, and height, and how things move within inside that length, width, and height. So if something is very heavy, it's gonna pull it towards it, because that mass is pretty much since the mass is warping the space. Okay, put it like this. Well, he already did put it a certain way with the bowling ball on the sheet. You know what I'm saying? Put a bowling ball on the sheet. You know what I'm saying? That this is a certain area, it's a certain space, and now it's warped by a certain mass. And now things that are put on that sheet, if it has less mass, it just gets drawn towards it. If it's heavier though, it'll pull this part down, then this will go towards that. But yeah.
This completely revolutionized our understanding of gravitation and the universe as a whole. However, it still doesn't answer what gravity actually is.
It does though.
We can measure it and calculate it, but unlike other forces, gravity has no particle, so we can't know what carries it out. We know.
What do you mean? Does it have to does that have to have a particle for us to know what it? We can't know what so okay, when he says what carries it out, what does he fully mean by that? Because we know what causes gravity, mass, and this is what he's about to say right here. What does he mean by carry it out?
Know that mass creates a gravitational effect.
Yes.
But no one knows why mass.
Okay, I could kind of see that. I can kind of see that. Why does mass do it? Now, it just does. Now, but technically we do know why, because it's warping space-time. But then the question is, why is it warping space-time? That's the real question. Right? And that is something that I could probably answer if I think about it. But I can't fully answer that. Because like I said, I could like, if something is heavy as fuck, right? Like, imagine that space literally is. See, this, I ain't gonna lie, this was a good one. That one, I don't think I can fully answer that one. The question should be, why does mass warp space time? But Google might answer that shit, right? Because niggas said we don't know why mass has a certain gravitational effect. Yes, we does. Yes, we do. Because it's warping space time, right? If space time is warped, right, and if space-time is warped, like it's actually fucking like a sheet of paper, it's going to pull those things to it. We know that. But why does it warp space-time? Why does mass warp space-time? Mass, because mass is a source of gravity. The gravity, but rather a curvature in the fabric of space-time caused by present mass. That's even more. Ah, you see, nah. This was a good one. I can't fully, because this one just says this says mass warps space-time because mass is the source of gravity, but gravity is caused by the warping of space-time. So what this pretty much says is that mass warps space-time because mass is the source of warping space-time. Because gravity is just the warping of space-time. Like, if we're going to be real about it, you know what I'm saying? So, this is actually a good one. I can't answer that one fully. Why does mass warp? Because this doesn't answer it. Mass warps space-time because mass is the source of space-time. Mass is the source of the warping of space-time. Okay, why? Right? Damn, that was gonna fuck with me. Why does mass warp space-time? Like when you see space-time as like a fucking fabric, as a sheet of paper, that it makes sense why, but it's like there has to be something else to explain that. Because, like, for example, like, so this water bottle has water, this one doesn't. Therefore, this one is heavier. But well, if I were to place this on a sheet of paper, it would bend the paper. Then this would go towards the thing, right? But like, let's look at what we have right now. We have space all around us, right? Granted, we're on the Earth, so that's a bit different. Maybe if I was in space, it'd be different. But what I'm trying to get at is that right? If I drop these two, this would not just come over here. Like, watch. They actually kind of did come towards each other. That time it didn't. They just fell straight down. You know what I'm saying? So I can't fully say why gravity warps space-time. That's what we don't know. We know what gravity is. We just don't know why mass warps space-time. That's what we don't know, right? Like, why does it do that? But granted, though, in space, though, things are moving. And maybe the movement of things is what's causing things to get drawn towards. I don't know. I can't answer that one.
Creates a gravitational effect. It just does. All the galaxies and solar systems, the Earth in orbit, us on.
See, the fact that things are moving, though, that kind of has an effect, right? I can't fully say that, though. Like, I mean, like, for instance, like here's what I mean. Like a tornado, right? A tornado moves, right? So because of that, if you're near a tornado, you might get sucked up inside that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Because it's actually fucking moving. You know what I'm saying? But like, if something is moving at a higher speed than the tornado, like let's say you have a very small tornado and a very big tornado, and they're right next to each other. The small tornado is gonna get pulled by the big one. You know what I'm saying? Because this one's moving faster. So the movement has to affect the warping also. Because I'm pretty sure if I put this water bottle in space, like let's say I actually went into space and I put these two water bottles next to each other. I'm not sure that this water bottle would just get attracted to this. Maybe it's also the spinning that causes things to come towards it. You know what I'm saying? Now here's okay. Now I'm on to something now, right? But now I gotta find something out. Why do tornadoes draw things into them? I know because of the speed, but what about the speed is doing it? Man, that's blowing my shit. Why do tornadoes suck things in? Suck up things. Here we go. Tornadoes don't suck up, well, obviously, powerful rotating winds and strong updrafts within it. They lift and move objects, but they still lift it towards them. So I could get that though. Like the wind is making this thing get lifted up and it's coming towards this thing, but that still is not fully explaining why that's fully happening. Okay, let's do this. Why do tornadoes pick up things? Due to a combination of extremely low pressure, rapid movement, swirling winds that create powerful suction and lifting, so it's like a suction kind of a thing. I think this kind of explains why though this shit would warp. I think it explains why objects warp space time, because it's not just the mass, but also the speed of it, right? Right.
On Earth.
Like if the Earth wasn't spinning, would things be with like if the sun wasn't moving and the Earth wasn't spin? Like, does the sun actually spin? Because I know this. I think the sun does. The sun spin? My fault. You see, I'm actually a dumbass for real. Yeah, the sun does spin. That's what I thought. You know what I'm saying? This shit rotates once every 27 days though. This shit rotates slow as this shit rotates slower than the fucking sun. But it does. But it's not just about that, but it's also about the moving. Like I think because like if the Earth was like because the Earth spins kind of slow. It takes 24 hours to spin once. You know what I'm saying? But it's still moving very fast, right? And that movement might be what's pulling things towards it. You know what I'm saying? Like if the Earth was moving slow as fuck, would things really be drawn to the Earth? I can't fully say that it would, right? I don't actually know, but I don't think so. Like if shit isn't moving, like if the shit in space wasn't moving, would shit really be drawn to it? But then also you got shit like fucking dark matter too, which has a gravitational effect also, and I can't fully explain that either. So shit. Now this one's a good one. I'm trying my best, but nigga, this one's hard. The time shit, that was some bullshit. This one's some real nigga shit.
It all just seems to pull together with no discernible explanation, so far as we can tell, yet. We know that everything...
I can answer this. But this answer is not scientific. This is more just pretty much there's something because there. Well, then that begs this question though. Why was because I was gonna say the reason why there's something rather than nothing is because a supreme something wanted there to be something, right? But then that begs the question: where did the supreme something come from? Like everything, like okay, so whether you want to call it God, source, spirit, that is what made all this shit, right? But that begs the question, okay, where did God's source spirit come from? We don't really, it's always been there. Why? Because it just has been. We can't fully say why. We can't comprehend that. So this one's a good one also. Well, this part, why is there something rather than nothing? Because there's a creator that wants it to be here. You know what I'm saying? But who made the creator? We have no fucking idea.
That's anything is made up of matter and energy, being interrelated aspects of the same thing. The first law of thermodynamics tells us that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. However, if this is true, the obvious question is, what created it in the first place?
Facts.
It appears that either something had to have come from nothing, or something has always been.
Yeah.
In the case that
That's the fuck, I muted this shit. What the hell? How the fuck did I do that? I pressed the what the fuck did I do? Oh, I pressed M. That's what happened. Oh, M for mute. Duh. Fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot for that. Anyway, it's this part that something has always been. But why has something always been? We can't fully say.
or something has always been. In the case that something has always been, if time can in fact be nonlinear and can infinitely regress in a loop, going backwards on itself at the end of itself, it would then be possible that there is no beginning or end of the universe at all, but a continuation of the same thing, as if the universe were breathing in and out, filling up its lungs with everything.
Both of those are kind of wrong, though, when it comes to the time shit.
Itself, it would then be possible that there
There's no beginning or end. There's no end. There is the Big Bang is the beginning, right? Like this whole entire Big Crunch idea, like where time just goes and it just collapses on itself. That's not. I mean, I can't say that's gonna happen or not happen. All I can say is that I'm gonna just shut my mouth because the things that I'm about to say, technically, I can't fully confirm that because we'd have to just wait until we get to that point to see. So I'll shut my mouth on that.
there's no beginning or end of the universe at all.
Granted, I did make a video about I did astral project to see the end of time, and it kind of was like the Big Crunch. You know what I'm saying? Not gonna lie, where like things were just collapsing, on itself. But that's what happened was events kind of just stopped moving. Therefore, because there was no more movement, things kind of just fell apart. But the way that it fell apart was as if it was like time moving backwards, but the time wasn't really moving backwards. Things just stopped progressing. Therefore, they started dying, and they started dying in reverse how they progressed.
But a continuation of the same thing, as if the universe were breathing in and out, filling up its lungs with everything, and then emptying them back out, over and over. Or, similarly, everything is, was, and will always be across space-time for all eternity.
That is more true. Because when time when you stop having events move throughout space, there's no more movement, therefore those things begin to kind of just die, you could say, but there's still going to be creation. It's just not the creation that we have right now. It's a creation with no movements happening with inside the space.
Eternity. Every moment in time and location in space has a coordinate on the map of space-time, and the map exists at all times at the same time, forever. However, in both cases, if something has always been something, where did that something come from?
Yeah.
Who or what made it? How can anything be anything without having been made by something else? If the universe is entirely based on cause and effect, which it appears to be, how could there be no first cause for there to be an effect?
Nah, facts.
Alternatively, in what is known as quantum field
That we really can't answer. Like, where the fuck did God come from? Where did spirit come from? We have no fucking idea.
theory,
What even is God and spirit? You can't actually. You could say that God is awareness and energy, but no. God, source, and Most High literally transcends all these things. You can't fathom what that actually is. You can't conceptualize it. All the concepts that you make are simply for your own human understanding, but the concepts don't actually point to the whole entire truth.
Physicists have also found that particles known as virtual particles can come in and out of existence from apparent nothingness, which is to say, it is perhaps possible that a feature of nothing is to create something. However, if a
Well, nothing is never really nothing. Nothing, like there's always something. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is never really just nothing.
feature of nothing is to create something, how can it be nothing?
It is,
And if nothing isn't nothing, what is it and what made it? Even if one subscribes to the notion of a God, that's fine, but that doesn't resolve the question of where a God would have come from. Everything ultimately brings us back to the same question: how can anything come from nothing, or something be infinite? And neither concepts seem to concur with any human sensibilities, meaning there is some mystery of everything that our brains can't seem to comprehend, as if the rules of the game were made of logic, but the reason for the game were made of something else. The only truth is, of course, no matter what anyone says or how they say it, nobody really has any idea what's going on beneath their feet, inside their brain, and above their head.
Okay,
Maybe
well,
at some point-
I have an idea of some shit that's going on. I just can't fully break down why mass warps space-time, even though I feel like it's also the mass. I feel like it's the movement of the mass that's warping space-time. It can't just be just the mass, right? Like, it's probably the movement of the mass, too, I'm going to assume. But I don't know that, so I'm going to say that one I don't know. I really don't know that one. I don't fully know why mass warps space-time. And also, I don't know where the fuck God or spirit came from. But I still know a couple things that's going on in this bitch, you know what I'm saying?
In the future, we, or some iteration of us, will know precisely how
Nah, we'll never know. We'll never know where the fuck God came from. Where spirits, or we'll never know that. That's not, you can't, no one can fathom that.
everything works and
You'd have to literally re-become that. You'd have to re-become God. And even then, you would still just be like, I've always been, and it's just kind of just it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have an origination point.
why, with one little equation. Maybe Newton will be wrong, and Einstein will be wrong, and thousands of other Einsteins of the future will be wrong, until someone, somehow, isn't. And maybe, for some reason, that's where we're heading.
Yeah, I know I ain't that Einstein, nigga. These niggas just stumped the fuck out of me.
However, perhaps what matters is less about what it is or why it is, but that it is. That during this position of time and space, and in this form of matter, we can look into the nature of everything, and see that nothing is simple, and everything is insane, and that the only
Damn, this music, though. What's up with this nigga? This nigga started... Nigga, damn. Everything is insane. The only thing, the more insane, like,
thing
damn.
more insane will be to waste it by never marveling at how insane it truly is. Never appreciating that we experience time, whatever it is, in a way that allows us
Okay, we know what time is. Chill.
to experience it at all. That the effects of Earth's gravity is just strong enough to keep us on it, but not so much that we can't move around. That
Well, yeah. I mean, you know what? Nah, let me stop, because if you were inside of Jupiter's a full gas planet, right? Like Neptune and shit. It's a gas planet. So I've actually always wondered this. When you go on a gas planet, do you just keep on falling inside that bitch? Or like, do you just like float inside that motherfucker? I've always wondered that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like with the Earth, right? You could say that we stay on the Earth because there's fucking land to stand on. But that would be like, okay, well, why don't you just get flung off the Earth? You know what I'm saying? But that could be like centrifugal force, right? Like we like for example, if I have like a fucking with this shit, right? If I go like this, the water, if I move this fast enough, the water stays at the top, right? Like, this is just centrifugal force. So we could say the same with the Earth and how the Earth spins, right? That's why we don't fly off the Earth, because the movement. And once again, that's the movement shit I'm talking about with gravity. I might really be onto something with that, bro. But, like, with this water bottle, right? Oh, you probably can't really tell like that. But, yeah, the water stays at the top. You know what I'm saying? Because how fast the bottle's moving. You know what I'm saying? And the speed is kind of keeping that. Hey, I think I'm onto something with the movement shit, bro. Maybe it's not mass that warps space-time, but the movement of mass.
that the exact structure of matter with their exact forces formed just perfectly enough over billions of years to allow us to emerge out of the darkness for a little. Able to do this, right now, able to enjoy the apparent magic show of everything, contorted somehow, just right for us.
Alright, my nigga, you got that. How's your
This video was sponsored by
Okay. Get your money, player. I'm gonna like that video. Nah, if you enjoy, drop a like for me too if you enjoyed this shit. I ain't gonna lie. This was a pretty good video. I really couldn't answer some of this shit. You know what I'm saying? I have been humbled. I am a complete dumbass, as I've always been. I love you. I'm gonna catch you in my next video. Peace the freak out.